It is just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Dr. Hitesh Tolani, the founder and CEO of Virtudent, the leading provider of mobile dental clinics and teledentistry services, making dental care more easily accessible for busy employees at some of the world's most renowned employers. The Virtudent model not only brings the dental office on site, but also focuses on lowering costs, reducing iatrogenic care, and providing patients the transparency necessary to make more knowledgeable decisions regarding their health care. As the founder of Virtudent, the first commercial teledentistry practice in the United States, Dr. Tolani has been named Benco Dental's 40 under 40 U.S. dentist. He is also a Harvard President's Challenger winner, a Tufts 100,000 winner, and a Massachusetts Challenger winner. Hitesh's inspiration for Virtudent starts one night in 2004 during his senior year at Wofford College when he met his scholarship donor, the Honorable Dennis W. Shedd, a Fourth Circuit Appellate Court judge of the United States. When Hitesh asked Judge Shedd, "What can I do to thank you?" Judge Shedd looked back at him and said, "You want to be a dentist? When you finally become one, you will have a skill that will empower you to treat and heal. When you use that skill to help those who need it most, consider me thanked." These words echoed in Hitesh's ears throughout his training and instilled in him the responsibility and desire to pay it forward. However, Hitesh soon discovered the number of people who could not access dental care overwhelmingly. One day, a friend emailed Hitesh asking him to read his recent dental x-rays to provide a second opinion, and that was his inspiration for leveraging telemedicine to increase access to oral health care and drive down costs. He felt this is a solution that could change and impact the entire profession and empower dentists to use their skills to treat and heal on a larger scale. For the next 3 years, Hitesh worked to pilot Virtudent, bring on board the key stakeholders necessary to launch an entirely new healthcare delivery model. Today, Virtudent takes proceeds from commercial visits as Microsoft, Wayfair, EF Education First, and many others, and dedicates them to serving underserved populations, children at the Boys and Girls Club, patients with autism or Down syndrome. This is just amazing. How is your journey going now with Virtudent?
It's been probably one of the best experiences of my life. It's been wonderful. Our patients range anywhere from hourly workers who are on the line all the way up to C-suite executives of world-renowned blue chip companies. They all receive the same quality of care, and our average patient has not been to the dentist when they first see us in 5.8 years. And, we're very fortunate to be able to go out there and serve individuals and make dental care easy and accessible for them. And then, as you mentioned, you had a great intro there. We take a portion of our profits and serve about 5,000 kids for free, many of whom have never been to the dentist in their lives. And so, when you become a doctor, that's why you become a doctor, is to to help others and do good. And it's been the best journey of my life.
Wow. So, they always talk about healthcare. It's got to be affordable. It's got to be available. It's got to be accessible. How do you think teledentistry is going to change those?
Sure. So, if you look at cost to deliver, dental care right now in the United States, it costs more to deliver dental care than it does all cancer treatments combined. And that makes sense, right? Because everyone has teeth. Fortunately, not everyone has cancer. But we need to find ways to make it lower cost and easier to access. I don't think that what is needed is scaling dentists because training dentists is expensive. Opening dental schools is expensive. There's a lot more dentists graduating right now, who have empty chair time, and so there are enough dentists, but patients aren't coming to their chairs. So how do we empower those dentists to kind of think of the operatory or their dental practices slightly differently? And, it is through methods like this, through telemedicine. It allows you to extend the operatory beyond the four walls of your clinic. And, you think of someone like a hygienist who's in your operatory, you can now be working with that hygienist outside of your operatory. And the hygienist still reports to you, is still under the general supervision of you. You are, guiding the care of every single patient, but using modern technology, such as teledentistry. And I think that, by doing so, we can reduce costs. You don't have to build the brick and mortar practice. You can reach more patients. Medicine has already started doing this. And, you see the availability of medical care, basic preventative medical care, be more accessible because of technologies like this. And I think it's time that, dentistry catches up. And, we're piloting that. And as I said, we now treat thousands of patients who otherwise haven't been to the dentist. And once we identify them, we actually care coordinate them into local practices. And dentists who otherwise have had empty chairs, we're filling their chairs with patients, thousands of patients. So, once again, it delivers basic care easily, more accessible to people who've had difficulty coming in, right? And then once they're back in the system, we can care coordinate them to the proper place.
So I follow you on LinkedIn and Twitter. On LinkedIn, it says Virtudent delivers high-quality on-site dental screenings and preventative dental care to businesses and their employees. Our state-of-the-art pop-up dental clinic, bringing the dentist to you via telehealth technologies. Virtudent is offered as a service to corporations and organizations as a no-cost perk to increase access to healthcare benefits and preventive care that are convenient. Now on your Twitter, you're at Virtudent. I'm confused on Twitter because on Twitter you have a capital V, and in all the other places the V is not capitalized. So I wasn't sure if Virtudent is capital or non-capital. Which one is it?
Virtudent is capital. However, for some reason we've had some difficulty capitalizing it on some of these platforms. And for whatever reason, they're working to get it back up to a regular V. So it's interesting that our marketing department is actually making sure that is happening.
Well, it's funny when you're an old man, when your 4 kids have made you 4 grandkids and you realize you're old, you never know. Is that some young millennial hot new thing that I'm too old to understand? So I was going with it was a cool hipster with a small V. But it turned out not. But on your last tweet, you tweet on at Virtudent. It's officially the end of our first full week in our new Fenway office, and the team couldn't be more excited. Looking to join a fun and dedicated team, we're hiring. Check out our career page. So that picture I'm looking at, that's what tell me what I'm looking at on that picture.
You're seeing our team. I mean, think of a dental office, right? You have front desk staff. You have people who are doing billing. You have people who are, making sure supplies are on site. You're looking at some of our hygienists, our dentists, and so, you're looking at our team.
And when you say you show up with your state-of-the-art pop-up dental clinic, what is your state-of-the-art pop-up dental clinic, and how could we take a look at that?
So we worked with engineers that have worked with Nike, NASA, and Under Armour to develop a dental office that was fully modular, fit into the back of a car, was easily, could easily be break down, picked up, by a hygienist, usually a female, usually around, a certain weight, who could do this without, much difficulty. So we developed this clinic, and this clinic now can roll into any practice, any location. And it's easy, right? When you think of traditional mobile dental equipment, it's very heavy, cumbersome, and not practical to move around easily. So this was done to do just that.
And where's the best picture of that? Would you say it's that the 411 on Virtudent on YouTube?
There isn't a picture that is, I think, online that is made for viewing. So you may have some difficulty finding it, but I'm sure if you look somewhere, someone has tweeted it out, or some patients have taken pictures of it. But I don't think there's an official picture somewhere online.
Would you you have a YouTube video, a 2-minute YouTube video, the 411 on Virtudent. Do you like that video?
Love that video.
Can we splice it in right now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we're gonna leave. You're gonna listen to a 2-minute video.
How it works. The 411 on Virtudent. One seamless process in 5 simple steps. After coordinating with the HR department, we show up at your office to clean your teeth. The first step is the prep. We take a conference room and transform it into a clean and inviting space. With a dental chair, curtains for privacy, and individual toolkits for each patient, we're able to make every visit as sanitary as possible. The second step is the appointment. Each appointment is 45 minutes, and we work with insurance providers and book online to create more time for what really matters. Once each patient settles into the Virtudent chair, we clean their teeth, take x-rays, and teach them tips and tricks for maintaining a healthy smile. The third step is the preventative component. Through the gathering of patient records, we're able to let our team of highly qualified dentists give their expert opinion on what next steps should be and advice on where patients should go for additional treatment. This approach ensures that our patients are healthy, happy, and only paying for the treatment they need, and that's important. The fourth step is giving back. At the end of each appointment, instead of giving patients a toothbrush that will most likely go unused, we give those toothbrushes to children in need. We know oral care can impact a child's health for the better, not just for now, but for the rest of their lives. Once we've filled up a box of toothbrushes, we distribute them to underserved kids in Boston and teach them about the importance of preventative health care. Because if we're fortunate enough to share healthy smiles, why wouldn't we? The fifth and final step is the cleanup. We wipe down, sanitize, and disinfect the conference room we're in to make sure it's in the same pristine condition as when we found it. Then we fold up our chair, pack up our things, and hit the road. And that's how it works. 5 simple, hassle-free steps. We're in, we're out, and we make it as seamless as possible. Cleaning teeth and sharing smiles for the greater grin.
So talk about that video they just watched.
It basically walks you through how Virtunet works. You know, how we come on site, how we set up the clinic, how patients sign up, right? How they get a referral. It basically just walks you through the process of what Virtunet is.
So how do you separate the charity side of it versus the business side? Is it more of a is this more of a new business model that will do very well in free enterprise, or is it more of a charity model?
So as I was building Virtunet, I first started building it in order to write grants around it. It was never supposed to be a business. It was supposed to be a way for me to, continue some of the research I wanted to do. As I started doing that, someone very wise said to me, no money, no mission. Find a way to, make it sustainable, and then maybe you can, do good with it. So, because, I focus so much on public health doesn't necessarily mean just, the traditional underserved children or, geriatric population and, elderly care facilities. Public health is total population health. And as you look at the data, busy millennials are foregoing dental visits, right? And this is leading to downstream additional care and, higher costs. And so a public health intervention is to bring care to them. These people can't afford it. It is a service that they need. They have insurance for it. And so, you can do that, and then you can take a portion, if you choose in a business, you can take a portion of that to serve whomever you want. So we, started off serving some smaller communities, but we've been very fortunate that our model was immediately recognized by organizations such as Northeast Delta Dental, who've actually worked with us to spread it across the state of New Hampshire. and that's where we serve these 5,000, or are available to these 5,000 children.
I love your I love that you said no money, no mission. Was that from the book by Mark Eason, No Money, No Mission, Find and Create New Sources of Funding for Your Nonprofit Organization?
It was actually a quote from a Harvard Business School professor who was giving me advice and said, I know that you want to save the world, but no money, no mission. Find a way to make it sustainable.
And so how is your mission going? Is this sustainable? Is this something you're going to scale to other cities or more teams, or what year did you graduate, and how long has this been in going on?
I graduated dental school in 2009. I started this in 2014. It has been a labor of love, right? I didn't take a salary for 3 years building it. As you read about Dentist Shed, so, I'm actually a former, what is now called a dreamer. My parents came to the U.S. when I was 1, and it took an act of the U.S. Congress to keep me and my mom in the country. And the DREAM Act is based on a few major cases in the country, and mine is one of them. And 35,000 people around the U.S. wrote in for me and my mom to keep us here. And so, my goal as a dentist was to find ways to pay it forward. I am a pure product of other people's generosity. And, this model is to find ways to make basic preventative care accessible. Dentistry is 100% predictable, preventable, suppressible. It is a basic healthcare need, and many people don't get it. And when we, as doctors, young doctors or doctors who are coming up, it's our responsibility to find ways to treat the people that we became doctors for. And, that is why I picked up and did this, because, when Dentist Shed said one day pay it forward, sure, you have one patient, you have 2 patients, you have 10 patients who come into your chair. But then when it turns into 100, 200, 300, you realize I have to get up and I have to change the system. And I'm very passionate about that, the fact that I am, indebted to 35,000 people around the country who believed in me and my mom. And today I'm, an Ivy League doctor. And it's because I've had people support me. And so how do I pay that forward? In 2018, the American Dental Association released national codes for teledentistry. And so this model is not about a matter of if. First of all, it's already happening. But the widespread of it is about a matter of when. And so we're showing that it can be done, that it can be replicated, and that it can impact thousands of people who haven't been to the dentist. And so, currently we're working with whether it's Medicaid organizations to show them how to do it for underserved populations, or large companies who've said, our utilization of dental care within our company is low. How can we work with you to bring people in the fold? As I said, number of paid people who come see us on average haven't been to the dentist in 5.8 years. And, I am a dentist. I do have a lot of student loans. And I think of my peers and I think of, their practices and, trying to get patients care. And there's patients who need care, but, they're not going. And so here we are, infusing practices with patients, and everyone in the system wins, right? When you are able to think outside the box and kind of reconfigure the system just a little bit. And that's what we're doing.
So you came here when you were 1.
I did.
So I doubt you have very many memories of home before that.
Well, home for me is Columbia, South Carolina, a suburb called Irmo, where I went to school. And I will always be a yellow jacket. And for me, that is home. That's what I remember.
Yeah, it is. The most bizarre thing for me to comprehend is if anybody could ask, what was the American phenomenon? Why did this great country appear? And it was because everyone migrated here for 500 years to 10,000 years. And I mean, we're just e pluribus unum. I mean, it's been our secret sauce for forever. And why people think that's not a good idea anymore is so it's just very, very bizarre. But so you have a lot of case studies on your website, if you go to myvirtudent.com, how it works, case studies, you talk about Log Milne promotes total well-being through Virtudent's on-site care and convenience. Wayfair saves 354 employee work hours. So when you're targeting these big companies, like this Friday, our dental office, Today's Dental, is having a blood drive. So we do that, and a lot of our patients enjoy it because they want to give blood, but it's just never really easy to do, convenient. So you're targeting companies where a lot of their employees probably haven't been to the dentist in, like, say, 5 years plus, and you're just going there, and it's a win-win. The employees like it, the employers like it, and you're doing it for profit.
Yeah, so I think that for many years, doctors have been siloed off into the world of medicine, operating on their own, right? Patients come to them, and that's it. I think that as doctors, we should be thinking, how do we expand our scope, and who do we bring into our fold, and how do we work with them to, fit into what's happening in the world? People today, I think you have to look at the bigger picture of what's happening outside of medicine and how people are living and consuming their lives. People today are consuming and living their lives through technology and on-demand services. Everything comes to you. You can literally order something and Amazon will apparently drone it to you. I have not used that, but I have heard of it, and I can't wait till one day, my drone arrives with my groceries. But, that's in the works. But yet healthcare, is still siloed off, where traditional brick and mortar practices, people still get up and go, especially to the dentist. Medicine has made huge strides. So I think that's one thing that doctors should be looking at. The other thing is that what other trends are happening? And there is a trend of people working a lot more, and there is a trend of people trying to retain talent and bring talent in. And I personally am convinced that the gatekeeper to a gatekeeper to healthcare, and a gatekeeper to populations, and a gatekeeper to wellness is actually people in people operations, otherwise known as HR. When the head of HR makes a decision to change an insurance benefit of a company that has 250,000 employees, that trickles down to those employees plus their families. And so that is a huge impact when that one person makes that decision. And as doctors, when you start working with them and you help explain to them, here's how oral health impacts overall health. Here's what happens when you bring in this type of service. For them, it's addressing many things with one stone, right? It's addressing workplace wellness. It's addressing company culture. It's addressing a perk that allows employees to have work-life balance. But it's also addressing for them to have healthy and happy employees. And there's statistics that show that when you have healthy employees, that you outperform the stock market 2.3 to 1. So as doctors, we should understand how the bigger world is, operating around us, and finding ways to plug into it to reach our patients, especially in a world where people are busy and, as I said, they're using technology and on-demand services.
You've been getting a lot of press for this. I've been. Is that your skill? I mean, are you good in PR? Do you have a good marketing person? I mean, you're getting picked up by the big boys often. Or is that just because you're so handsome? Maybe you have a face for this, and maybe if I look like you, I would have been picked up by the national news. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think you're making me blush, but thank you so much for the kind words. My mom, who is a huge influence on my life, has always said, "Do the right thing, and everything will fall into place." And that's me mimicking her Indian accent. But I think that you could have the most intense or robust PR and marketing organization, but if what you're doing is not impactful or worth the media's time, I don't think that they spend time doing it. I think that we're very fortunate that people find this interesting and that it helps us get the word out, because at the end of the day, there's 300 million people in the United States. There's more teeth than virtudent or I or anyone who's affiliated to us will ever be able to clean. And to show that we're able to, do something and do it well, hopefully there's a dentist in Idaho or Minnesota or Nebraska, right, who's interested and wants to learn more and can treat people in those communities. And so I'm very grateful for the press, but it's been wonderful. They've been coming to us just like you did. You reached out to us, and thank you for making time, and we're very grateful for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're on the. Are you on the bleeding edge or the leading edge of this new technology? Is teledentistry bleeding edge or leading edge?
Definitely think it's leading edge. I think that we're paving the way, and hopefully people will start, acknowledging or learning about it. I really think that this is the way to move forward, and the ADA's recognized it, right? Unfortunately, I think that dental schools across the country haven't really picked up this. And, if you want dentists to pick it up and it become mainstream, that really the, institutions where we train our future providers should be incorporating it. And if there's any educators out there that are interested, we are more than happy to work with them. I do lecture at a lot of schools, and but even though the lecture is made, the practice of it is not. And so it's wonderful to make students aware of it, that this exists out there. But to really start training them in what teledentistry is, I think is the way that we will treat the masses as we move into the next generation.
And who else is in this space that's got your attention where you think it's they're doing well?
So when you define space, you can define it in a number of ways. You can define it as teledentistry, or you can define it as on-site mobile care. In terms of teledentistry and the way that we do it, I do not believe that there is anyone else who does it just the way we do. There are other organizations that are bringing dentists on site through mobile vans, or are setting up. But the way we do it is, our hygienists are all under our general supervision. We have a team of dentists who work with us full time, and our hygienists are full time. And these are dentists just like in a traditional practice, and the hygienists are under their general supervision. We have a clinical advisory board that consists of, the clinical dean of Columbia Dental School, ADA subcommittee members, faculty from some of the top tier dental schools in the country, who meet on a regular basis to go over cases, methods, and ways in which we can continuously improve the patient experience, care coordination. At the end of the day, it's important to make sure that the patient gets to the last mile, right? If they need care, into the dental chair. So the model is not just teledentistry. The model is comprehensive patient care and partnerships in the community. And so, yes, there are other organizations that go on site, but they do the traditional, many of them do the traditional full service of care. That full service of care even includes doing care on site. So what it does is that it maybe intervenes a patient from the local dentist, or doesn't really work with the community, where we will see the patient and then make sure that they find a dental home that's nearby, and then we will work with that dentist and communicate back and forth, share notes with them, and make sure that we're keeping abreast with what's happening with patients that we've referred. Just like when a traditional dentist, a general dentist, will refer to a periodontist or a oral surgeon, a report is sent back. We work with those dentists to get that information, and once again, comprehensive patient care.
Now, are you involved with Patient Ping? Is that you too?
Patient Ping is not us. But they're a wonderful company that's located in Massachusetts, and we know them, but patient ping is not us.
Oh, she follows you on Twitter so close. I thought maybe that was your friend or something like that. So we just
they are a client, and they're wonderful. They're a wonderful organization that's also changing healthcare, but that's not us.
Are they in dentistry too?
No, they're in traditional healthcare. They actually help with communication with patients through hospital systems and so forth.
Well, it's May 20th, so last week. How many graduates did we have last week? Do you got a total number yet? Have you heard?
I do not know.
It's probably what, 6,000? It's got to be.
It sounds about right. Last time I checked, it was like 4,000 something, but I probably checked a few years ago, and I think there's been other schools that have opened up, so it makes sense.
So what advice would you give them? You've been out a decade, and you're doing something.
I just had my 10-year reunion. Yes, I have been out a decade.
Yeah, and that's a really fun time. I mean, I've been out 3 decades, and I felt the end of the first decade was really good because you really had your dental skills down. You've come a long way. I mean, when you graduate, they don't realize they just got out of dental kindergarten school. They have no idea how young they are. But 10 years out is a good feeling because you're finally doing great dentistry, great business. It's all coming together after 10 years. So after a decade of this, what would you say to the graduating class?
So many things, right? Remember that the people that are in your chair are someone's sister, someone's mom, someone's dad, someone's brother, and that they're real humans, and that's why you became a dentist, is to care for them. And I think that is something we always need to remind ourselves. And as I teach and as I see new graduates come out, or I talk to them, they're so overwhelmed with student debt. Personally, I am too, but it's even on a whole other scale than when I was in school 10 years ago. That they're so worried about that at the end of the day, remember why you became a dentist. Thereafter, my advice is, you as dentists are going to be the ones who find solutions to many of the research things that we need to figure out, many of the care coordination issues, many of the cost issues, and where Virtudent is trying to put a dent in it. It's going to be somebody who is my peer or younger or maybe a little bit older who will figure it out. And if you have these ideas, explore them. And finally, as dentists, we are highly trained, doctors, and our degrees can be leveraged for many different things. And I think that dentists need to be, entering the world of business, public health, policy, not just on the dental side, but on the overall medical side, because I think that, a lot of dentists are trained to be dentists, and they stay within the world of dentistry. But when you start working with, Medicaid and ACOs, and you start, working with consulting organizations and help them understand that oral health impacts overall health, and when you start leveraging your degree and your knowledge, to intersect into different parts of, industry or just the world around you, that's when you start making a bigger impact. And so, just realize that your degrees are very powerful and you can leverage them for a lot of other things.
You grew up in country music, right? Isn't that where you? Isn't that?
I did grow up in the South, but I personally did not listen to much country music.
Okay, well, I same here. I grew up in Wichita, Kansas, and everybody listened to country, but I was liked a lot of that rock and roll. But that song I forgot. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. One of the things about being alive, as long as I have, you see, water fluoridation was a really big thing, and then the next generation, about 1/4 of them decides it's a communist plot and it's bad, and that's vaccines. When I was your age, that was the hallmark. They said it was just plumbing, sewage, and vaccines that explain for almost all of our life increase. And now you have the big anti-vax movement. This, I look at teledentistry as part of it. Could be so amazing for preventative care, dental care accessibility. And then I just immediately think of you going to some town to do this, and they just took water fluoridation out last week, and vaccines are going to be taken out the week after. How do you see this helping the efforts that our generation did with water fluoridation and combining it with your new efforts in teledentistry?
So I think that anything that's new takes a combination of forward-thinking, established experts of that generation. So, people who may be slightly older or who understand and have the wherewithal to see, the future. But then also, younger people in the profession who, are digital natives or, who understand the sciences that are, being currently released. And whether that was for water fluoridation, you had people who were, very passionate and, younger or who understood it. Then you had people who were established who also understood it, right? And together it was a combination. I also think that even though you may have some, pushback, I go not to sound too cliche, but there is a saying that I grew up with is that my mom would say for Mother Teresa, "Do good anyways," right?
Right.
And so it is your it's your responsibility to try to educate people. It is your responsibility to show how this can be helpful, and to garner support from the established individuals. Do not think that a dental organization is the one to push back. Go work with them and say, "Hey, dental organization, here's how this works, right? Work with me to do it properly in your jurisdiction, in your world," because they're the established body. They understand their people, their jurisdiction way better than you will ever do. Way better than you ever will entering into it. So, as a younger person or someone who understands the technology, it is my job to work with them to roll it out in the best way possible. It is not my job to, take everything they know and discard it. So how do you kind of, have a meeting of the minds and, work together? And I think that's the solution to moving anything like this forward.
We have so much in common. That was I was raised Catholic, and that was my mom's favorite saint is Mother Teresa, and it was just a hell of a poem. And that is really neat that you said that, because
I don't mean to be cliche and so forth, but you will hear many no's. I've had a dentist spit in my face as I have built Virtudent, saying that I will ruin the profession, but that shouldn't be actually something that hinders you, right? It's your job to be even kinder to that dentist and work with them to help them understand. Today, that dentist who did spit in my face is now a dentist who understands the model a little bit better and is supportive. But don't back down, right? You have to just understand how to work with them, not against somebody.
Yeah, but I mean, a dentist spitting in your face. I mean, how do you become a dentist and still have those caveman features? I mean, it's just.
So I don't. So actually, as I think about this, I think dentists actually are very proud of their profession. I know that I love being a dentist. Right? You have a skill set. You have the ability to heal people. It is such a gift, to be able to do what we do. And there are reasons that if you don't understand something, you want to kind of guard your profession because you want to make sure that it still has high quality. And so when you work with dentists and help them understand the quality and the delivery, they get it. And so I think that those dentists may not be actually the ones who do get upset or do get a little passionate. They actually may not be the issue because they're passionate enough to learn and ask and come up and say, this is not something I'm used to, and they want to take it in, and you have to just work with them. It may be the dentist who is quiet and who's not going to ask you the questions or is not going to come up to you, right, and just may disregard what you're saying. Those people may be more difficult. So I love it when people come up and ask questions. It's an opportunity to engage.
So you did you go to Harvard?
No, I didn't.
But you're connected with them somehow.
I am. The company that I've built. So I went to Penn. I went to the University of Pennsylvania, and I did a few residencies, and then the company actually was. I had a friend who I was talking to about the idea. He was at Harvard Law School at the time, and he said, "Hey, how about you come and build this with me at the Harvard Innovation Lab?" While I was there, I ended up, I had the opportunity to work with some of the, faculty at the Harvard Dental School who, had me come lecture a number of times, offered me a Harvard faculty position, but really I couldn't dedicate the time to that opportunity. I was asked to stay on as a advisor for healthcare and entrepreneurship for a number of the undergrad houses, and so I actually talk to students who are interested in making an impact, but I advise on, as I said, alternative healthcare career paths. I advise on healthcare entrepreneurship, and I am actually an adjunct faculty at Tufts, where I did my special needs training, and I am very grateful to all the institutions I've been a part of, because I tell you, every single one of them has been they're very supportive and forward-thinking, and Virtudent would not be where it is if it weren't for all of them. And so it's really exciting to see the universities and the people who taught me, right, saying, yes, let's help support this, because it takes our profession to the next level, and I'm very grateful for that.
So that Mother Teresa's poem, anyway, that was actually written by a 19-year-old sophomore at Harvard, Kent Keith. Did you ever hear about that?
No, you're teaching me something new. That's just something my mom always says.
Yeah, my mom always said too. But he wrote it was Kent Smith, 19-year-old sophomore from Harvard College, and he basically wrote the Paradoxical Commandments, and Mother Teresa hanging on his wall. So now everybody thinks it's her poem. But basically, it was a very turbulent time in the world. And it was the 60s, and the government wanted this war with Vietnam, and a lot of the people did not want the war. And he noticed that so many young kids would just give up. And so he took all their excuses to give up, and then ended with, people are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you're kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and some true enemies. Succeed anyway. If you're honest and frank, people may cheat you. Be honest and frank anyway. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, they may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give the world the best you've got anyway. My mom used to always drill out my head that all you're saying is an excuse to give up, and the answer is you're not going to give up. We're going to keep going, and it's going to be 2 steps forward and 1 step back. I forgot that country song. My mom always quote. Do you remember that country song, 2 steps forward, 1 step back?
I have not heard of it, but I think one of the things is that everything in that poem is true, and when you are growing a company and you are doing something new, the idea of when people will say something that's not positive, do good anyway. The truth is that you have to also understand that the feedback that they are giving you is something that you can learn from. And we've received tons of feedback, and we get people who are will say, hey, have you thought of XYZ? And being open-minded and understanding that you are building something new, and how do you continue to take feedback? How do you continue to grow? How do you continue to make it even better? Is that, yes, move forward anyways, but move forward with grace and gratitude to take feedback where you may not be doing it the best you could, or you may not be doing it in the perfect way, because at the end of the day, it's not about you doing it anyways. It's about doing it the right way. And so I think that is really important as someone, building a new innovative model, is to understand that, how do you continuously improve it? Yeah.
Thanks for all that you do for dentistry. Thanks for being a pioneer, and thanks for coming on the show. It was an honor to podcast you.
Great. As I said, doing what I do has been a gift, and thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
All right. Have a rocking hot day.